All right. Good afternoon or late morning, everyone, and welcome to this Thursday edition of the On Air Advocate. We're at the On Air Advocate. We provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate, and I am super excited that you have joined us here today or you are catching this on the replay. If you think this broadcast could be relevant or helpful for anybody, please give some love and hit the share button as well. As most of you know that have been following this whole entire week, we have been going through organizational strategies and making care plans and getting things, planning and preparing for things that sometimes are out of our control as caregivers and making them more organized. And so I am super excited, with that being said, to welcome an amazing man who has written an amazing book. I can't wait for him to share it all with you guys. He is the Chief Operating Officer at Coyle Financial Counseling, as well as he is the author of Life Without Mom and Dad. John Dragstrem, how are you?
I'm great, Tammy.
I'm so glad that you joined us today. This book has so much knowledge. I always do this when you're trying to look in here to see it.
Yep, there you go.
Without Mom and Dad, and developing a care plan. And so when I was reading through this is definitely a different type of a format. So this whole week we have been talking to different authors and parents that have been on the journey and how they have organized things. And this organizational strategy using this mind mapping is completely different, which I just love. And so I would love for you to share with the audience how this book came to be.
Well, thanks, Tammy. The book came to be, people who've done a lot of different testing on me in particular would put an adjective and noun together like structured follow-through, systematic follow-through. That's how I'm wired, and that's probably why I'm Chief Operating Officer at my firm. So I have a brother who has cerebral palsy. He's a bit older than I am. And I would call myself an unprepared caregiver. And there was a point in time where all of a sudden I got the call. Mom was no longer able to take care of my brother, and I had to scramble and do something. And it was a bit of a nightmare. He's a bigger guy. He's in a wheelchair. We had a first floor powder room, but the door was narrow. I couldn't get him in there very well. We worked on trying to walk in there a bit, and it was a bit of a disaster. I couldn't get him a shower. It was up on the second floor. So I wound up taking him to the YMCA to get showers in. And fortunately, we ran into some opportunities where he was able to get into a more independent living situation, which he was able to do after we spent a lot of time coaching him. But I would tell you that I had asked Mom and Dad to help me get ready for this eventuality several times. And it was always one of these, oh, you'll take care of it. You'll be fine. And well, I guess they were right in a way, but I just felt like being put in that position. I didn't want to have other folks go through that if we could prevent it. So I said, okay, with my skills as this systematic follow-through guy, use some of the tools that I have used to help brainstorm and build different strategies to this problem in particular.
Right.
And so that was the genesis of this. I worked with one of my friends who had an autistic child, and we went through it together and helped build it for him. And we've applied it to my brother. And that was kind of the beginning of, hey, let's put this in a book so folks can grab a hold of it and take advantage.
That is so wonderful. It's so wonderful. And I think in this week, as we've been talking to all different folks, is that you find that all of our minds process things differently. Some of us are the paper and pen, some of this structurally needed on technology, to make it all line up and be able to effectively execute our plan. And so this really gives people who, like technology and to keep things organized that way, a great option. But I know you said, like, once you get used to it, even if you're not a technology person, you can learn how to use it, correct?
Absolutely. I think mind mapping, it used to be used a lot by scholars. I mean, people like Einstein, different folks used mind mapping to develop their thoughts. And it probably in the last 20 years, it's become automated to where you could do it on a computer. And there's several programs out there. The one that we use for this matter is called MindMeister.
Okay.
And I will tell you the reason why I thought it was important for us to use this tool was there's several things I found out about folks when I was interviewing them for, how we could help them best. Usually they're very time starved. So, it's just, they're dealing with the day to day. And I said, okay, so this can't be like, I have to sit all at once and get through it, and then I'm done. Because then I also noticed that these plans change. So, most people fill out these books that put on a shelf, and it never gets touched again. So it's never up to date with things that change. And the last thing that was toughest was the ability to share it with other people, the people that are going to be your caregivers down the road. And this facilitates all three of those things. I think it allows you to take it a bite at a time. I think it allows you to share it with your other family members or other caregivers that might be involved down the road. And it's easy to update and notify folks that it's updated.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And we chatted before, and so, which I'm really excited about, we're going to be able to kind of walk everybody through this a little bit, correct? Are we able to bring that screen to do that?
I'll give you a little sampling, yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you want to do that now?
We can.
So just so you know, the book that I wrote is really a workbook, and it's based on this model that I'm going to show you. And there's nothing necessarily magical about this. I do have a template that's already started for you. And the first chapter, the chapters go right around this model that I have here. The first one's about my child, and that's usually, when you go to a website, you always want to know about whoever you're talking to, right? So this is really kicks it off. And we start to understand some basic info about the child, what their birth date is, what their diagnosis is. I get into the ADLs, so you can blow that up. And so you just hit, whenever you see a little dot, it means there's more things here for you to look at. So then you can move it over, pretty easy, drag and drop. I'm clicking on the word eating. And now I hit a plus sign, and I can eat something, or I can type something like feeds themselves. Now you can hit plus again, and it adds another bubble after it, or
needs assistance with eating, or
whatever that so it's obviously not a one size fits all, but it allows you to just think, okay, how does he do on eating? How does she do on bathing? How does she do on all these things? So that the first thing that a caregiver has, I can get this info pretty quickly.
Right.
So what's fun about it is I didn't mean to do that here. I meant to do that here. I can just drag and drop it, and now it puts it at the end of that thing. Even though that doesn't make sense, it just it's very flexible. You can't really make a mistake.
Okay.
just start typing, and if you decide, oh, that really should go under this bubble, you can just drag and drop it and put it over
Okay.
there. So yeah, it kind of gets a little unwieldy if I went through all of these for you, but
right, because you can open them up and you can see extra things, but I mean, honestly, as a caregiver, those are all the things you need to know. I mean, so, and that's why you've structured this as nicely as you have and put it together, is because it's overwhelming and daunting if you don't plan and prepare and you don't put together some type of organizational system to help you.
Correct. So you can always come back and do things in the different sections as you learn it. I like to keep this next steps thing, because what we'll find is like, okay, now I need to go do this, and I want to have one place where I need to go. Oh, I need to go get the special needs trust funded. Let me type that in there and make sure I get that done. But it's also
breakdowns under all of these inside the book. Does it go through like the family care team, like what you think your top brackets are?
Yes. So if I hit family care team now, you would see all this stuff, like family members and values and traditions and celebrations, and any people on the care team, and if they have a guardian. And so it's very flexible. You can delete any of these things. You can add new ones that you think of. But it's all there. And each chapter of the book introduces each one of those modules one step at a time. And as it goes through the book, I help you understand how you can take mind mapping to the next level also. Because there's ways to so there's always in the book itself, there's always a section at the beginning of what the learning objective is about mind mapping. So the first one in chapter 1 in a little green box says, sign up for Mind Meister, create a new mind map, learn basic functions, and duplicate a mind map. And so each chapter has that as an objective, and then the book is fully illustrated on how to do this. So you can actually just sit down with this book and MindMeister and get through it pretty quickly. It's 86 pages long if you count all the resources and acknowledgments. So it's not a bear of a book. It's meant to be very practical and take you one step at a time. A couple things I really like about this tool is you can add documents right in here. So if you have a power of attorney, you can actually link it right here. And so now my caregiver has the power of attorney at their fingertips. And there is device, you can use this on a iPhone or another mobile device, iPad, whatever. They have apps for this software, but the book is, and it's a little bit different on those platforms, but the book is all geared towards using it on a PC or a Mac.
What I love is how much research and time in talking to other families, as well as, you living a life, having a brother that had different abilities, to put this together. Because, when you look at these points, any person that is a lifelong caregiver, I mean, you've hit almost you've hit them all. And that's awesome. Because sometimes you don't even realize, like when you go under that legal and the financial, and sometimes if people don't bring things up to you, it passes by. And then that's when you get yourself into the position where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that, So the book in itself even breaks that down, which I think that's great. That's just great for that. So with this, they would sign up they go under that MindMeister, right? And that's like the application that they go under to get this.
Correct. And so I give them a link. Actually, I should probably give you that link so you can publish it later, but I give them a link that gives you the template that I created.
Okay.
so that when you start, you can start with something fresh. In the book, I actually make you start your own map by yourself, just so you know the basics. And then I tell you how you can move into the template world and start to use something that somebody's already built.
Okay. And we're also going to drop below, I know that, I mean, that link you can give to me, but the link to purchase the book, if that's available on Amazon?
It is.
Okay. So we'll put a link so they directly can go to there if they would like to purchase as well. And then now I know in reading a little bit about your bio, because mine and yourself have not met each other before, you have done some really awesome things and some missionary work. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I tend to be a volunteer kind of guy. I love to do things. I like to have my hands on. So a buddy of mine, who's a pediatrician, originally from Colombia, he's a U.S. citizen, had told me about this opportunity to go down to Honduras. Honduras had just experienced Hurricane Mitch a couple years prior, and they were going in to help this village, which was totally wiped out, recover. And by the time we were done with the mission, which we've added several other missions since then, but this one in particular, right, we added 70 houses. We built a medical clinic,
Oh my goodness.
a church, and rehabbed their school and their water system. We had to rework that. And the Army Corps of Engineers came in and put in a big berm so that they wouldn't get wiped out again, and that needs to be monitored and maintained. But yeah, you know what? I found out I'm kind of would like to be in control. As you can tell, I have everything under control here, and when I'm down there, I am not in control.
Okay.
It is so good for me to shake up my world a bit and just follow. And just love on folks, and the kids are just crazy. My wife has never gone the trip with me, but I tell her every time, I said, "You're glad I didn't bring one home." And she would have loved it, but they just are such a fun group of people, and smiles all the time. I think about how us always kind of always crabby and not happy with things.
Not grateful.
Thankfully, we got through all this political cycle just now, but it's just kind of refreshing to see folks that don't have much but are very happy.
Yeah, that are very appreciative and grateful for the things that they do have. Yes.
Absolutely.
And then now I know you being the chief officer at Coyle.
Yes.
What would you say, and I don't know what you could lend, obviously today we're talking about the book, but would there be any, I guess, advice in that financial realm of any kind that you would give to parents to plan and prepare for what is in their control right now? I mean, we do have a lot of little factors that are out of our control, but the things that they can plan and prepare for ahead of time in that financial, realm, would you have any, I guess, suggestions that you can lend?
Well, I buy the book because it's got stuff in there to help you through some of the key things. You folks who are going to have kids that live beyond you, you have a challenge. You're not just planning for your retirement. You're planning for your retirement and then your child's life afterwards. So there's some things that you need to really think about. I would say if you can, and the guy I interviewed in the book is great, Matt Coyle. He's has an autistic child who just became an adult a couple years ago. And we went through his whole journey, and the folks were just tremendous. First of all, you got to know that they adopted this child knowing it had all these issues. Just I mean, who signs up for that, right? Um, but they created a business for him called Shreddigator, and he destroys documents. So he has a whole method of picking them up. He usually comes on the trips with either his mother or his father, picks up the shred bin, and they give us the receipt. We watch them put in the car. They give us the invoice of destruction, all that good stuff. Okay. But they got a good video of him just putting all the documents through the shredder. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to build up his ability to earn his own Social Security. So if your child can, we know that that's not always possible, but if you can, try to get them some work and employment. And obviously we want to get them as independent as possible, particularly if they're going to live beyond you, because that's just going to help them thrive afterwards.
Right. But you're so correct. There's all that planning and thinking about. I mean, especially if you're a lifelong caregiver, if you are born, with a child that has different abilities, odds are is that you are going to pass before them. And if they don't have siblings and they don't have other people there, really planning. I mean, and the other thing is that, which I've read about as well and heard stories, is that sometimes when those parents pass, if they haven't passed on all of those little intricate things, the likes and the dislikes. So even just, beyond that financial and the doctors and everything, just on a normal daily basis, routines that they're used to, especially if they've done it that way their whole entire life, So
absolutely.
Yes.
So, there was another one, just another story. This one was inspiring. Have you ever put IKEA furniture together before yourself?
Oh. Yeah, not easy.
Well, this whole video was about how an autistic child, kind of teenager, I should say, had started his own business with his parents' help. But all he does is put together IKEA furniture, and he is a ninja IKEA furniture builder. He can, and it was just so fun to watch. And it gives him, purpose, independence, but it also helps build up that Social Security level. Obviously, the dates are really important when you approach an 18 and 21 in the state of Illinois, but other states have different dates of adulthood.
And you're in Illinois, and is the guardianship age 21 or is it 18?
18.
Oh, it is. So that is what it is here in Wisconsin as well. And that's 17 years, 9 months. That's a whole nother.
Right. So you want to make sure you got your guardianship if you need it. Now, you don't have to do that, but if the guardianship is needed for your child, and you have to get that done, because you show up to a hospital and, you're not the parent. He's an adult now, and you can't get the information. It's like not fun. So. Right.
And I think, so on all of the levels, I think the book is, great and gives people so many also ideas of things that they probably haven't even thought of. Because, sometimes we have our basic things like who are our doctors, what are our daily meds, what are our ADLs, but thinking about some of those things for the distant, future, sometimes we don't always wrap our head around because we're so busy with the everyday.
Yeah, and I've read a lot of books, Tammy, in this subject, and a lot of them are like encyclopedias. They're a little thick, and they have everything you can and can't do and cover any situation. And the book wasn't really meant to do that. What it was meant to do was, here's a method for you to capture that information that's important about your child and to keep it up to date and to share it with those who are going to take care of them down the road.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is wonderful. And I thank you, John, for taking so much time with us. I don't even know what time it is right now, but for going over everything with us today. We're going to drop the links below so that everybody has access to this. So whether it's for the book or if you're also looking for any kind of financial advice, I'm assuming that you're there, that people could bounce some questions off of you.
Yeah, well, we're wealth managers, and wealth comes in many forms, but we help pass on wealth from generation to generation. We work with all ages. We have a full suite of advisors that are really good with, more mature people and those who are just starting out. And then we have families that have special needs loved ones. So we can help with that. We help business transition. Probably our strongest three things are business transition, executive compensation, and special needs family assistance.
Okay. And I think the special needs, a lot of the things go similarly with if you are caring for your elderly loved one. So, I think that there's a lot of similarities, especially
Absolutely.
your book could be used the same way for aging loved ones as it could be for kids with special needs.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And any questions that anybody has, please drop them below in the comments and I will make sure to answer them and get you guys any information you need, but I'll also put up all of the links.
Thanks, Tammy.
You're welcome. If you guys want any more information on any of our podcasts, our YouTube videos, tutorials, or social media applications, please go to theonairadvocate.com and you will find them all there. You all have a fabulous Thursday. God bless.
God bless.